Hi, everybody. How nice to see you today. I'm so glad. Do you love my view? I absolutely love my view, which is, but I haven't had enough time to look at it lately. I'm going to make sure I take some time this weekend and look at the snow because it's just perfect. It's been fun to watch all of the tracks, that have been forming underground. Hi, Ro, great to see you. All the tracks that have been forming underground and how much the snow sparkles. It's just been really, really cool. So as much as snow is a hassle, and driving here in Northern Illinois for all of us. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. For all of us was kind of a nightmare last night. The side effect is that you get really beautiful, beautiful, hi, Jan, views of my trees and the sparkle and the tracks and the squirrels. And it's a really nice way to live. And I decided I had to do that a long time ago. Because I always felt so crazy in my head and in my body that I knew I had to live someplace that gave me a great deal of peace. One of my strengths was that I was too weak. I was too wound up in order to really be able to handle the same things that everybody else handled. And that kind of leads me to today's topic. And the topic I put was Bigfoot and the myth of I can do it. So I'm going to start with Bigfoot. I used to go up north to Rapid River, Michigan. And in Rapid River, Michigan was an Ojibwe who had gathered, hi Carol, good to see you, who had gathered a pretty decent group of people around him. He was in his 60s and 70s, when I hung out. And one of the things that he would talk about was Bigfoot. And he would talk about how Bigfoot lived in the woods behind his house. And Bigfoot would come up and visit and, bring magic and bring connection to people who were coming to visit him. And he had a lodge out back, a big, giant, what was called a wabano. And in the wabano fit probably about 30 chairs or 30 seats. And there was a sacred fire and there were symbols and metaphors hanging everywhere. So it looked like a very, almost kind of like a junk shop, but a very magical junk shop, like one of those books out of, when you were a child that you would read. And you'd walk into this magical bookshop with, things hanging all over the place and secrets over here and fun little metaphors over there. It was a really great space. And one of the things that I learned there was also the myth of I can do it alone. So Bigfoot he was real in the way that the people that I hung out with could see and feel. And Bigfoot, and it actually ended up being more real than the myth of I can do it. So what's the myth of I can do it? It's where we were taught that we can do anything and that we have to do it by ourselves. Hi, Bonnie. Good to see you. And we have to do it on our own. I was raised to be extremely self-sufficient, and a lot of the women who hang out with these videos were taught the same thing. We were taught to be stoic, to self-soothe, to deal with our own issues. Hi, Danny. Good to see you. To create our own world, to get out there and change the world and take care of everybody while you were at it. We were taught to be super women and super girls. And in the process, a big part of us didn't have a lot of friends. We didn't have a lot of other females in our life. We were strong and isolated and maybe very charismatic, but didn't have a lot of close friends. And but we were super successful. We were high achievers. We were, high adrenaline, overachievers. We got good grades. We worked hard. We did all of those things in whatever level that we did. Whether it was relationships or whether it was grades or whether it was family and we were taking care of family or taking care of ourselves, just trying to survive. We were very self-sufficient and strong, capable, beautiful, amazing women. And the challenge with that is that we were taught not to depend upon anybody else because nobody else could live up to that level of our capabilities. Nobody could ever match what we were doing. We were always moving forward and getting things done and achieving things. And the people around us, I hated doing group projects because group projects meant that I'd have to do the majority of the work. And that really frustrated me. I didn't want to do the majority of the work in the class projects. I wanted other people to come collaborate with me. And so I developed in my mind this myth of I can do it and I need to do it by myself. When I first started to break out of that belief system, that idea that I couldn't, no one would be able to match where I was at, was when I started to go up to Rapid River, when I started to go up north. And then we'd talk about all of these helpers around us, Bigfoot and spirits and each other and the fire. The fire had a life, and there was a sweat lodge up there and everything had life to it. And everybody was welcome. It was actually a motel. And so people could stay in the rooms, when they would come up and do ceremony and hang out in the Wabano and hang out around the sacred fire. And the table, there was a table that would fit like 15 people, it felt like. And sometimes the house would just, in the grounds, would just be filled with human beings. And what I started to discover is that even though Bigfoot, seemed like a myth, it was more real than the belief that I had to do everything on my own. So that started me on the journey of trying to find, of believing that other people existed that I could work with and collaborate with. Well, I did run into the same problems as I did in school, where you collaborate with people and they don't match your level. But what I also learned is when you work with people, let's say when I'd go and work with everybody up north in the lodge, when you work with people, everybody's different and they each bring their own gifts. And so instead of looking for somebody that was like me, it was accepting the fact that this is what I do and someone else can bring something that I don't understand or that I don't get. Bigfoot can come in and bring something to the table that I couldn't figure out on my own. And that's where the greatest partnerships and collaborations really came from, is when I stopped, one, thinking that I couldn't trust people, especially women, and that I couldn't depend upon them to be there for me and to pull their weight, and I had to do it all on my own. When I started to get past that belief and open my mind to the idea that we are a community, that's what a tribe is. It's a community where everybody has that role. I spent a little bit of time in Decatur this last weekend visiting my brother-in-law, and when it's a town, and it's not that big and it's not that small. It's in southern Illinois, and it had the feel that everybody in town had their unique place in town. It's not that they had a role to play. It's that every personality was welcome and invited to the table, and that's exactly what it was like up in Rapid River. Everybody was invited and welcome to the group, and they each had something unique and different to bring. And when I started to collaborate with people, open my mind and my heart, and to realize that, we really had to come together, and I didn't have to be Superwoman. I could do what I was good at. I could do what my genius was, and that other people would bring their genius. And together is how we would really create something wonderful. What was created up there in Michigan was pretty spectacular. They had so many magical healings, and people from all around the world, from the richest to the poorest would stop by. Elders and wise people and spiritual leaders from all over the world would come, and they'd all help out and sit there and drink tea and bring something to eat and hang around the fire that looked like a thrift shop and do a sweat with each other and chop wood and stack it and clean up the lodge, and everybody would participate in the way that they participated. So it wasn't about they needed to be me, it's that they could be themselves. And the collaboration happened is when I stopped expecting, one, to do everything myself, and two, looking for people, accepting people for where they were at, and enjoying and appreciating them for the gifts that they brought to the situation. When I shifted my perspective and realized a tribe is a unique culture of individuals who have a common purpose. It doesn't mean that we're the same. It doesn't mean that we don't have tempers or personalities, that we're not individuals. It means that we are pulling towards something similar in the way that we do it. Now, I'm not a very religious person. I was raised Catholic, and it never quite stuck with me. But there was always a line in the Bible that used to be in the movie Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, one of my favorite musicals. And the line was, "Don't cast your pearls before swine." And what that meant was, look for people who want to collaborate and work with you, but don't try to collaborate or work with people who don't want to. Don't try to push it. Don't try to make it or force it. Don't try to, work with people because we want to work with them. Instead, allow it more organically to happen. Allow the people who have their unique traits and unique abilities to start to show up and come together with a common purpose. So as I said, when I was a kid, the childlike belief was I have to do everything myself. And then I would prove it over and over. See, I'm the one who has to do all the work. See, I'm the one who has to, pull the trailer to the end of the line because nobody else is going to do it. And because I felt that way, everybody let me. They let me do all the work. Nobody else had to step up. But when I started to shift my perspective to, wow, we can't do this alone. I need more help. And what are the different roles that everybody plays in this tribe, in this community? And how can we really come together for this common goal? So that's the myth of Bigfoot, of there not being helpers out there and people out there. That's what's real. The myth of doing it by yourself and being on your own and having to power through, that's the real myth. That's the real story. So your homework today, hi Damane, that's a beautiful name. I hope I pronounced it right. Your homework assignment today is to look around you and look at the different personalities that surround you, and look at different communities and the various roles that people play, the various personalities that they bring to the table, without wanting them to be like us, without expecting them to bring the same, qualities or self-sufficiency or anything. Just looking at and being grateful for what they bring. When I made that shift, and here's a simple story to clarify it a little bit more. When I first got together with my husband, he would never do the dishes, and that would make me really irritated. Hi, Sherry, great to see you. That would make me really irritated, and I'd get frustrated and annoyed, and I wasn't going to do the dishes, and fine. And then we ended up with this little mini war of nobody doing the dishes. And I got to a point in my life when I realized the best thing I could do was love and value him for what he brought to the relationship, because he worked hard, and he might not do the same things that I did, but he did different things, and that was really cool. And when I said, okay, I'm going to do the things that matter most to me, and he's going to do the things that matter most to him. And I'm going to be really happy that even if the things aren't the same things that are valuable to me, even if, cleaning the garage to get ready for a party is the last thing on my mind, I'm going to appreciate that and appreciate what he brings. And it was that spirit of collaboration and partnership and allowing people to be who they are. Hi, Bernadette. And appreciating the people in my life for who they were. That's when I could really break out of the myth of I can do it, because it's not that you can do it. Hi, Bajal. It's that we can do it. And you want to look for people that are on the same page. Don't give up if you don't find them. And when you find somebody that's kind of close, look at what they bring to the table and appreciate that. So be like Decatur today. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you. Be like Decatur and look around and see what role everybody's playing. And for just a few moments, appreciate them for that role. And even if you have to make something up, even if this is in unicorn rainbow land and you have to, be a little creative. Wow, look at that. They, take up space. Isn't that awesome? Whatever it may be. Find something where you can start to value people. Because as Alan Watts says, If you want to have more love, love anything. It can start with loving chocolate or loving sex or loving snow or loving to laugh or loving bad jokes. Love something. And when you start to love, it feeds that love and it grows. So you don't have to do it alone. In fact, you can't do it alone. And start attracting to you people who have unique gifts and skills that can really complement what you do. So look around, have some love and appreciation, and let that grow, and then watch how things start to change around you. Because your attitude towards people is what actually changes or taps into their genius and their gifts and their beauty. When you can see it, then you can help them see it in themselves, and they rise to the occasion. Sometimes not. Sometimes they're a pain in the butt, but it at least keeps you moving forward and having a joyful, happy perspective on the world. Which, isn't that what we want? Absolutely. Yes, find the fellowship you crave. I agree, Daniel, because it's out there. And thanks for being a part of my fellowship and a part of my tribe. I will see you tomorrow. And if you haven't signed up for your breakthrough call, look up above. I'm looking for women who are successful and amazing and fabulous, who feel cut off from their intuition. It's not working anymore because they feel overwhelmed and worried and tired and their body hurts and they're sick of, crab asses being around them. Okay? So I'll talk to you later, all right? Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for showing up. This will be up on my Facebook page for a while. Hi, Adamaris. And so look back, go to the beginning, and watch the whole thing. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.